In 2023, the FAA identified 19 serious runway incursions. And while that was going on, they convened a safety review panel, a blue ribbon safety review panel. And they released recommendations in November of 2023. Now, is it anything new? I think we should sit down and talk about it so that you can be the judge. In the summer of 2023, the FAA, after several incidents of runway incursions, assembled a safety review team. A team of former high-ranking aviation officials led by former FAA Administrator Michael Huerta, the former ATO Chief Operating Officer, the former Administrator of the NTSB. Well, you get the picture. Blue ribbon for sure. They were to address the risk in the NAS, and it was to be a data-driven review of safety efforts based on 10 incidents, just over half of the incidents that actually occurred in 2023, from October of 2022 to February of 2023, and it didn't include even the actual collision at Houston Hobby. So the SRT broke down the report into 4 areas: process integrity, staffing, facilities, equipment and technology, and funding. Before we get into it, I applaud Administrator Whitaker's quick action on the low-hanging fruit identified in the report. He immediately took some of the recommendations and implemented them. I may question the impact or the rational basis of some of them, but action is vital in these times, and he has taken it. Well done. So, let's break it down. Process integrity. The SRT identified that the ATC Oversight Organization is just one of many directorates in the safety organization known as AVS, and there may be issues of slow communications and stonewalling of information as a result. So the recommendation is a dual report scenario. Take one organization between the head of safety and split it between the head of safety and the FAA administrator. And update the FAA to make sure everybody understands how important they are. Okay, so the head of safety reports to the administrator, and the administrator wasn't listening? What? So the brand new director, yes, that person is brand new in that position in that organization, known as AOB, is going to work around that? Look, I'm all for special reporting lines, for special projects, for special authorities can be wielded and maybe bypass some bureaucracy. But that goes away when the project would go away. Special is just that, special. It cannot be, by definition, institutionalized. And safety, and a safety oversight role, has to be institutionalized. The chain of command must stand the test of time. And dual reporting is messy. And safety shouldn't be messy. Addressing stonewalling and people not understanding organizational relationships are the responsibility of leadership. The associate administrators and the chief operating officer, if they can't get along in the name of safety, well, we have a bigger problem than a dual reporting solution. Hey, staffing. Oh, and I gotta tell you, this section just blows my mind. One of the big issues I have been putting out this video is like wrapping my head around this. I totally agree that staffing is insufficient. I thought I would get some information about staffing. We hear a lot about overtime being historically high and increasing. So what are those numbers? Of the near 11,000 fully certified controllers, how many have worked overtime and for how long? How big a problem is this? None of the information is in the report. This is precisely the kind of information that is necessary to make decisions on what to do. Data-driven is the buzzword of the day, and that is even in the report that it'll be data-driven, but data isn't shown nor discussed that leads to any of the recommendations. So the first recommendation is to develop a new staffing model. Now, some of the SRT actually signed off on the previous staffing models over and over and over again. So we wait for a new staffing model. Why not the simple, massive hiring of more controllers? What are we worried about what the model is? It'll take a long time to come up with a new model, and then they have to come up with hiring. We're already going to miss a whole hiring cycle. We ought to go bold, go big. Where's the 5,000 new controller kind of situation? The get it done now recommendation instead of what should be a normal plan. Of course, you develop a new staffing model that fits the needs of the new workforce, of new technology, and those kinds of things should be a normal course of business. Right now, we need action, big action. So let's just spend a few pages in the report talking about how we got here, that this group pretty much signed off on, and then not really do anything about it. After that recommendation is to hit the pause button on internal movements and promotions. Well, duh. This seems like management isn't managing. What, we need a former administrator to point that out? Come on. Other recommendations are to improve the hiring and training programs. Oh, my head is starting to hurt. What a novel idea. It has been discussed and tried for decades, and it seems pretty much the same. I agree the process needs an overhaul, but we need to start with why has change been impossible? That is what this SRT could have recommended. And we have to move to technician staffing. The report identifies an over-reliance on contractors. What? Isn't that the plan? Outsourced maintenance and operations? Have contractors install and maintain equipment? Isn't that the deal? Why is this an impediment to anything? The statement that a well-trained and sufficiently staffed technical operations workforce would conduct more efficient, flexible, and less expensive support, that is just pure speculation. The policy of the U.S. government is competition. Competition enhances quality, economy, and productivity. There is a process to conduct these kinds of comparisons. Again, there is no data to support this conclusion, and I think the industry would have a much different view of the matter. Again, I gotta point out that the members of the SRT are directly responsible for the staffing situation that we are facing today. For years, they supported the limited hiring plans for both air traffic controllers and technicians. Just saying. Hey, facilities, equipment, and technology. As we continue to the technology side of things, my blood pressure continues to rise. Lots of identification of aging infrastructure. Totally agree. How could you argue against that? But that begs the question of the FAA's priorities for infrastructure replenishment. And where did the $1 billion per year for NextGen actually go? There are also lots of discussion about outages and disruptions without showing any data at all. And were outages an issue of any of the incidents that we saw in 2023? I'm not aware of any. And in looking at the FAA's website for FY22, which is the latest that I could find, equipment impacted operations less than 1% of the time. So what are we talking about here? And we've got to talk about ADS-B. The SRT acknowledges that the technology delivers superior surveillance capabilities. Good. But the SRT dives into an undocumented expectation that ADS-B would somehow reduce the number of radars. Well, it has technically, by one. And less radars will help with safety. Hey, stay focused, team. They missed the point of ADS-B and what it does for the NAS. The whole idea was to increase precision of the NAS. That is the whole principle of NextGen. It's obvious they didn't read the plan. Precision increases safety, increases capacity, neither of which have occurred as the rules don't go far enough to mandate ADS-B in, nor was the work done to reduce separation standards to match the technology. The FAA failed to have a plan to implement and utilize new technologies. That seems to be a continual theme. Not having a plan won't increase capability nor reduce costs. Complaining about the tech doesn't solve anything. Thankfully, the recommendations to move forward is to develop a plan that will lead to modernization. Well, thank you very much, but certainly that's not a quick hit. It's not a quick fix. It's going to take, maybe another few administrations to make that happen. Funding. I just don't want to go down this rabbit hole. The SRT identifies that there's insufficient funding, but at the top line, the FAA gets what the administration asks for, plus a little bit usually. Besides, this is a report about safety, should be about safety, not a commission examining the multitude of challenges of this and just about every other government organization, that they don't get everything they want. This leads me to my final thought. If the FAA wants to fix these challenges, they need to have documented, data-driven plan that they can commit to. A bold plan that wakes up the public, wakes up the Congress to that challenge. Go big with a plan or die by 1,000 cuts. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you want to hear more. Next time, you're going to see my dog Preston in a crash helmet because things are falling from the sky and we need to talk about that. We'll check you next time. Now, some of the SRT had signed off on the previous staffing model over and over again.